It was a big gamble going out east in the fall rather than the original plan of going out there in the winter, but I'm so glad I got to see it in fine weather. These 14 days, there was only half a day of rain, and during a time when the wonderful fall colours were out, rather than seeing things in brown mud and white snow. Glad I did it the way I did. The Great American Rail Trail doesn't even go through Cincinnati, meaning that it misses the Little Miami Scenic Trail, and that ended up being the absolute highlight of what I'd done that far, at least. And after doing that from Cincinnati, I spent a long time on the Ohio to Erie pathway, the Ohio Canal paths, and then over through the Canal Trail to the start of the very long and amazing Great Allegheny Passage, and straight after that the Chesepeake and Ohio towpath.
All right, it's October 12th. I'm a bit confused about that because I got into Cincinnati at about 3:30 a.m. on the 12th. Then got stuck at Union Station, Cincinnati, because after getting my bike off the train, I spent a bit of time putting the bags on, not recognizing that they'd locked the place up. I had to sort of break out of there and find accommodation at about 4:30 in the morning. Then I slept quite well, and so it feels like a different day, but it's still the 12th. And I finally made it to the Ohio to Erie trail network on what is really impressive Ohio cycle trail network. Man, it's good. I think specifically I'm on the Little Miami River Scenic something reserve, and biking north. I'll get to Xenia tomorrow. This is just going to be a short day because I had a few housekeeping things to do. Yet another trip to REI to buy, among other things, another pair of gloves. I've now got 4 pairs of gloves. And I'm using different combinations, for different things. But I was a bit cold in the fingers on my way to Havre, so I thought I'd change things up. This is absolutely wonderful. Again, there's some people that won't like big, wide, relatively straight paved cycle trails. But when I'm in a kilometre knocking off sort of mode as I am now, I just love them. I quite like gravel, of course, but it doesn't have to be gravel for me to like it. And some well-graded trails like this one, just so nice after rough stuff or road stuff. Yeah, this is good. So I'm about 15 kilometers from Cincinnati, following the river system, generally sort of northeast, and sort of reconnecting with the route I intended near Dayton, and don't regret that one little bit. What I really would have regretted if I hadn't taken the train through the middle is the prospect of having to cancel or alter some of this stuff, because it's really in part what I came for. Some of the stuff out west I'd already done, but this is all new and it's all wonderful. So yeah, really good to get to do it, and in great sunshine at the moment too. That's the other thing, it's still warm here, way warmer than it was in Montana. So I'm a happy boy, and just knock off a few more kilometres today, probably get enough today. Another cycle tourist. Hey, that's encouraging. I basically didn't see any over out west, and there's still some, admittedly going the other way from what I'm doing. Just makes me feel I'm doing this at the right time of the year, which is what I wanted. Yeah, it does mean that that big middle is going to be at the wrong time of the year, but yeah, in some ways it's just a road trip, and yeah, if I have to cancel bits of that or change them, I don't care at all. Okay, that's it for today. Good morning, this is the 13th of October and I'm still riding the Little Miami Scenic route, which is the sort of southern end of the Ohio to Erie Trail, and it is amazing. I'm having such a good morning. It's warm, sunny, but there's lots of tree cover, so it's not too hot. And I'm biking beside a river, and there's lots of forest and birds and squirrels. I'm just so in my element here. It's such an amazing facility. Hope it's like this all the way through to Xenia. I've heard that it gets a bit more mundane after that, but yeah, an amazing contiguous pathway of just awesomeness. I stayed the night about 40 kilometers out from Cincinnati. It was a short day because I had a few things to do. And I started to see some bearded and behatted folk on the trail. I'm told that later on you might even see them in horse and buggy. Amish, I presume. It's not my first encounter with Amish people, because I shared a train from Havre all the way to Chicago with a couple of young Amish women who were visiting family. They were in the seats in front of me, and yeah, I don't know, I must say, almost befronting to the cultural norms that I grew up with. You know, when you see them with their bonnets on and their clothing that, I don't know, doesn't really say freedom to me in this land of freedom. But I guess while that's happening and I'm encountering people dressed that way for the first time, there's certain politicians here in the United States rallying against the burqa and mispronouncing jihad as jihad, things like that. And yeah, maybe the counter argument that's come up against that sort of nonsense that we shouldn't presume that women dressed in a particular way don't want to be dressed in that particular way. It might also apply there. So who am I to judge? I'm not judging really, I just don't really understand it. And as I say, where I come from and where there's respect for women to be as conforming or unconforming as they pretty well want, it's strange. In fact, my own real complaint is a bit funny really. I had this phone that they were sharing, and it was like this huge big 1970s style handled phone thing on one of those spirally sort of cables that ran to a briefcase. Yes, it was a briefcase phone, or maybe the size of a large SLR camera box sort of thing. But yeah, it was so loud. It was going off all the time as family members, presumably excited about them coming to visit, were talking to them extremely loudly, basically the entire 27 hours or whatever it was, from Havre all the way to Chicago. It should have been a peaceful time, but it certainly wasn't. But I guess diversity of cultures and ways of doing is what I value in my own country and what Americans value in this country. So again, I I have no complaints. It's just one of those funny little stories you get while you're traveling. But yeah, more of this, slightly uphill, totally wild, beautiful, even if it's really close to quite a few bigger neighborhoods and cities and roads. And I'm just so privileged to be here doing it. It's so my thing. October the 14th, this is the Prairie Grass Trail on the Miami to Erie link, which is sort of also part of the Ohio to Erie Towpath Trail. It's all one network really, but separate old railways and things like that. This isn't supposed to be quite so beautiful as some of the other parts of the network, but so far it's really good. I just left Xenia having had the first decent cup of coffee I've had in the US, and headed for Columbus today. Not a huge day because there's not much uphill, but still about 100 kilometers or so. Why, hello all. It's afternoon. Usually I do these talks to camera in the morning. Don't know why, just do. But today it was kind of grey and overcast, and I guess I was waiting for brighter light to show off the wonderful autumnal colours. Yeah, as I've gone further along this set of trails, it's gone from yellowing leaves to orange and now a mixture of yellow and red, and it's quite spectacular. I've come round to the idea of the fall rather than autumn, even though the overwhelming Englishness of New Zealand is very much reliant on the term autumn. But this is again wonderful. I'm now on the Heart of Ohio Trail, but it's still part of the Ohio to Erie trail network. Every county seems to have its own branding, though all of them also seem to be sponsored by the Ohio Clean Fund for building recreational trails. And yeah, it's beautiful. It got straighter. Again, doesn't worry me, but some people worry about that sort of thing. I was just noting a lot of the trails around here have no horses, and I haven't seen any Amish people for a while. Made me rethink what I said the other day when I said I had no complaints about the Amish woman on the train with me, except that they were bloody loud with their antique phone. And at the time of saying that, I was disturbed by what I was saying. I was trying to work out why that was, and I've only just worked it out. They were loud because they were excited to see family, and they were talking excitedly with family on the phone. I haven't called my mother since I left New Zealand and over here, and I haven't called her, well, quite a bit of time before that too. I am a bad son. She's had a few health problems and stuff, and I've probably had a few health problems that I should have explained to her too, but bloody hell, it's terrible. I must get around to doing that. Even though it's hard. I don't really have a SIM card that supports phone calls like that, and she's still not on the internet. Oh well, got to keep in touch with all family when you're doing trips like this. It's an important part of, well, me staying sane and staying connected. But yep, I've passed the highest point on the Ohio to Erie Trail about half an hour ago, and I'm going slightly downhill, which is actually quite noticeable. I didn't realize how much climbing I had been doing until I started descending, and my speed has gone up by quite a bit. morning all. I'm riding out of Orville, heading towards Massillon, and I'll stay the night at Bolivar. Not a big day today, again just because of the sequencing of available accommodation. I'll have another big day again tomorrow, and then a small day probably. Yeah, I had a good night, had a nice accommodation, and tried to catch up on some sleep. Mostly did so. Now I'm out on another bright sunny day. Not a warm day, but a sunny day. And yeah, again, it's just absolute bliss conditions for biking on dedicated cycle paths. Yesterday I did a lot of biking around and alongside Amish people on bikes and Amish people on buggies and horses. The major hazard of the day was avoiding horse shit on the road. But if I talk about the Amish further, you'll start thinking that I'm culturally or religious biased or something like that. But yeah, no, not at all. I had some fascinating conversations with young Amish men on e-bikes yesterday. Yeah, I didn't want to approach anyone. I don't know whether they want to be talking or not, but so many of them approached me because they're fascinated with bikes, and as soon as they heard me talk and heard my accent, they realised I was from the other side of the world, and explained that. Very interested. And yeah, the fascinating point for me was around why they can ride on e-bikes. When you see a whole lot of horses and buggies on the one hand, and then a whole lot of e-bikes, you think, well, what's going on there? And yeah, some really interesting conversations about independence and being off the grid, etc. Let me explain again before you do think that this is some sort of bias. For Māori, there's a whole lot of big meta concepts that are important, of course, and the more well known of them, tino rangatiratanga, protected in Article 2 of the treaty, something that was supposed to protect the quintessential practices and elements of chieftainship. Yeah, it's never really done it for me. I think, Kati Mamui's lack of an invite to sign the treaty means that the concept of chieftainship just seems a bit weird, for me at least, Kaitiakitanga made its way into all that environmental legislation, controversial about whether it does or does not best translate to guardianship, certainly not limited to environmental guardianship anyway. But again, it's a bit sort of culturally foreign. The big mega meta concept that I was most intrigued by when I was a young adult was mana motohaki, which gets translated as self-dependence. Reasonable translation, but all sorts of concepts of independence, related ideas like freedom, etc., have some inflections, I would say. I was about to say get a bit warped, but that's too strong. Of course, I am in the United States, which seems to think it has some sort of monopoly over thinking about independence. It's very important constitutionally and in everyday sort of ways, and maybe that idea of being inflected, warped. It reaches a particular height here where independence perhaps has been co-opted as an idea by a whole lot of rather parochial groups. But you know, it's the same back home. You know? Mana motohaki is reliant on the concept of mana, and you know, that's a particular type of power that flows genealogically. Can you really have a sense of self-dependence if at core levels, even if often mistranslated, you're assuming some sort of genealogical flow of mana? So, you know, Māori aren't alone in having good concepts around self-dependence that, yeah, have their own internal contradictions. So yeah, that was the basis for me being really interested in the Amish conceptions of self-dependence that clearly emphasize being off the grid and not being subject to somebody else's control, but have that sort of slight apparent contradiction of, okay, you outlaw some sort of technologies and that's why you ride around on buggies, and yet you allow e-bikes. And so many of the people I talked to yesterday were riding the exact same e-bike that I have back home for commuting, a Specialized Turbo Vado SL. So that seemed all the more sort of strange. And I was talking to a lot of these young men about you know, what's going on there, and they said, well, different things. You know, some said, well, this e-bike is only ever solar charged, and we've got quite a community solar charging hub back home, and so it is off the grid. Batteries are okay. And that was fascinating. Yeah, and I can kind of see the internal logic to that. Others said, well, didn't say maybe. There was obviously a bit of sensitivity around the why do you ride e-bikes thing when you ban all sorts of other technologies. And yeah, I was just interested. I wasn't passing judgment, but I think their own sensitivity meant they weren't willing to tell the full story, but they talked about the Amish having a long history of cycling and this being just the latest evolution of that. And that too was fascinating. So yeah, really interesting day. This cycle trail is not just a cycle trail, it's a pathway into experiencing different cultures, and that's what makes it extra special, beyond the obvious huge resources poured into making a dedicated space for cycling and horse and buggy. So yeah, again, another reason to enjoy such a different network, a different cycling conduit that is so good for linking places and peoples together. Hello everybody, I'm currently riding on the Canal Creek Trail. Looks like a rail trail to me. Gone then are the Canal Towpaths. I had about 8 kilometers more of those after I left Bolivar, and yeah, they felt really weird because although I had some tracks, this one, the Zor Valley track, a lot of it's been on road, and that was weird. It's like my brain didn't know what to do with roads anymore. It had been so long. I guess that's a bit dangerous, not really knowing instinctively how to deal with roads. I found myself sort of accidentally swaying out into the middle like I owned the road. Fortunately, there were no cars to hit me. And it was like my body no longer knew what to do with hills. And there's been, and there's going to be, quite a few hills on this day. Well, good morning. This is the 20th of October or something like that, Monday. Left Pittsburgh this morning, rode the Three Rivers Trail a bit more, and now I'm on the Great Allegheny Passage, the Gap Trail, which takes me up to about 800 meters, some tunnels, and then I drop down to DC. Now, those of you seeing this sort of heard me say before, if I ever buy fluoro cycle clothing, you are allowed to kill me off. I'd just like to point out that this is not a cycling specific jacket. I did just buy it this morning from REI. It's a stretchy waterproof jacket, and I'm going to need something like this a little bit more. I got quite cold yesterday when I got wet, and of course, you know, when I get to DC, I'll take some trains back towards Cincinnati and start heading west. And Nebraska still scares me. So yeah, I both need something warm, waterproof on the one hand, and probably because the days are getting shorter, I'm going to need something bright. So orange it is. Yeah, you can't kill me off yet. Anyway, I'll kill myself off long before you get a chance. So yeah, the Gap really excites me. Already I can see it's a incredibly well tended cycle path. Apparently there's an army of volunteers that keep it maintained, and yeah, just feel so treated by all of the dedicated cycle codes. I know I keep saying it, sorry, but yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm going to leave behind the very industrial parts of Pittsburgh and Homestead soon. Past so many steel mills, you can probably hear one in the background, and granite docks on the screw this up, Monongahela River, and yeah, get into the hills and forest soon. Okay, good morning. Usually I do these pieces to camera with the camera facing me, but thought I'd give you a rest from my ugly mug. The real reason is I thought facing forward you might get a better appreciation of what the C&O towpath looks like. This is it. C, Chesepeake, O, I think Ohio. And it goes down all the way from Cumberland, where I stayed last night, to the sea. And there was zero gap basically between the Great Allegheny Passage and the C&O towpath. And yeah, so far it's looking good, slightly different, not the crushed limestone, I think. A little bit more like the surfaces you get on rail trails back home. But after being a bit bleak for a while, I seem to be in some forest, which is nice. And the river, at least out to the right, looks nice. The canal, when I saw it earlier on, looked a bit scummy, full of green algae and stagnant, but yeah, I don't know which of the two will dominate, but all good conditions wise. And I've basically got 3 100-kilometer 60-mile days to get to Washington DC, and I've booked the train to get me back towards Chicago. Can't remember the stop that I'm actually getting off at, but Doug and Alice, who I met way back on the Little Miami Scenic Trail, have kindly offered, and I've taken them up, the opportunity to get a ride from the train station back to Dayton. So all in all, of the sort of eastern half, I'll only miss 10 kilometers of the Great American Rail Trail between Xenia and Dayton. Of course, you know, that's counted by the fact that I did 160 or something between Cincinnati and Xenia that's not officially on the trail, and so far has probably been my favorite. You probably see now out to the left the very fluoro green algae on top of the canal. Yeah, the view is much better out to the right with the river. So I don't know which of those two will be my predominant outlook for the day. But yeah, everything's going well. We've got a plan. I've got accommodation booked. And yeah, my research is going really well as well. Should really update on that, I guess. Haven't talked about it for a long time. But one of the reasons for coming out east a bit earlier and then going back for the middle was that one of the communities that I was planning to work with had a few leaders pass away, and before elections for that they wanted to, you know, deal with me rather than have that overlapping the election cycle. A lot of forethought from them on that one, which is good. But they have been really accommodating, mainly because they really want the research to be impactful. And yeah, again, without even really asking, their connections into the local school and the local historical society went out and collected stuff for me, which I feel a bit embarrassed about, because that was the work that I was supposed to be doing, and I don't really like you know, having busy people having to do my stuff for me. But yeah, it's all explained. They did that because they want the research to work, and I've got so much material now, probably fewer case studies than I intended, but each one has generated much more material. So the whole thing about partial cleanups and their relationship to bike tourism, the super fund, and such like is going really, really well. Really impressed with the nature of I'm really impressed with the nature of US historical societies and their sort of willingness to look at recent history rather than just focus on old dead things. And their understanding of their civic purpose and role in perhaps truth and reconciliation in the present. And that was something I didn't appreciate before I came here. Back home, historical societies tend to be a group of old people looking at old stuff. Not that they don't do important work. Looking at old stuff is important, but they're not really engaged in policy and other such processes in the present. So I'm really, really happy with how the research is going. Okay, it's Saturday the 25th of October. I'm still on the C&O Towpath, though it must almost be at an end. I've done about 83 kilometers since leaving Brunswick, and the towpath runs out just before DC. So yeah, maybe you've got 10 kilometers more at most. And this is the last day, heading east. It's been wonderful. Yeah, it's a bit rougher down here, but if anything, more scenic. I thought as I got closer to DC, it would get all industrial too, but yeah, almost there. I take the train back westwards tomorrow morning. Got a hideously expensive hotel to stay in tonight. I hope they take my bike. But yeah, just trying to enjoy the last few meters of what has been a awesome ride. I mean, really, since Cincinnati, it's just been a series of the most amazing towpaths and railway trails, and really good scenery as well. I don't know if I mentioned it in yesterday's videos, but the very first time in my life I used Plan C. If Plan A is about plugging a tubeless tyre, and Plan B is about putting a tube in, Plan C is when the tubes can no longer be patched and you can't find that little bit of glass stuck in the tyre to go back to tubeless. And yeah, to my surprise, the very first time I've ever had to use CO2 to seat a bead on the tyre, it worked.